Hey everybody, it's been a while since I uploaded, but I just wanted to make a video detailing how to do Subaru rear differential bushings because there seems to be a lot of struggle and confusion as to how to do these. So we're going to get up and look at them. There are the rear diff bushings. Get a closer shot. You can see that one's the wrong direction, but we'll get to that. So that's what they look like. These are Subaru factory bushings I replaced them with, and they come through up there and attach to the diff with the studs. Studs are mounted to the diff itself. So this is going to be a really uncomfortable and not fun removal and install. So I'm going to run through it really quick. So to do this, basically I had to disassemble as much of the rear diff as possible to get it set up enough to actually reattach the new ones. So first thing I had to do was obviously take out the nuts off of the diff itself, 17 millimeters, and then kind of had to shake it a little loose to get it to break free from the bushings. And the next thing I had to do was come up here to the diff hanger support, undo this 17 millimeter nut here. It's a bolt and a nut, so you get a 17 millimeter wrench to hold the head. And what that did was going to allow me to drop this. But before I took this bolt out, after I broke the nut loose, there are two nuts down here, 17 millimeter. They are pass-through bolts that come up to that little hanger up there. If you see that tiny little flange, that is a bolt that goes all the way down through to there. So you undo those three 17 mils. You will knock this with a hammer just to make sure it's loose, and it should pop up on top. Take this bolt out, let it swing down, push these up through so you can get them off of this bracket. And obviously at this point I have no drive axle on. I've got some other videos about how to get to that point. I'm not going to detail that in this video. As well, my exhaust is off. So we've got those out, we've got this coming down, and then what's going to happen is you're going to slide this forward so the studs come off of the bushings here, and then you're just going to let the diff hang down and hang on this hanger because it's only going to swing down some because you got the other bolt still in. And that is going to give you access to those guys. You are going to need to cut through the bushing rim to get it out. I used a sawzall and a metal blade. Tried to be as careful as possible. Basically what happens is once you actually get a full cut through this, the pressure holding this in place is released and you can just knock it out. What I suggest is a flathead screwdriver right on the rim and a small hammer, and then just tap, 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 and they will push out that way. Or if you've got the room, you can do it from the diff side. Now that you got the diff down, you can knock them out the other way. You'll have more swinging room. But then they'll come out. One of the parts I struggled with was to actually get that cut. I had to cut free the bushing material, which, I mean, most of this was shot, so it wasn't too hard. The first one did not go as smoothly. If you're knocking on the bushing and it's not moving, you're not cut through it. I learned that lesson really good because you can see I thought I was cut through on some of these, and that's from me beating on it when I thought I was cut through. But once you actually cut it, it comes right out. You can use a hacksaw blade if you don't have something like a power tool, like a sawzall. And then once those come out, you've got your new bushings. You need to, one, make sure you install them in the up position. The bushing will say up. As far as I can tell, there is no front or back on these bushings. The same both directions. So a tool I'm going to suggest is a rent-a-tool from AutoZone. You're going to get this Caliper compressor tool. Looks like this. It's got a big C-clamp, some little cups, a big rod. These guys. These are what you need. These are going to be your backing plates to getting this new bushing back in. So what I ended up doing was, this was my backside one. So I went like this, the back of the diff, put a long bolt through. I'm going to suggest you start with the 5-inch bolt. These are grade 8 bolts, 1/2 inch. This one is the 5-inch long. And then I put my bushing on it The bushings actually seat really nicely on there. And the reason I did this one as the back, if you look at it, it's got this little open zone in it that allowed the part of the bushing that sticks out a little bit to seat in and not be pushing directly on that to pull the bushing in. So I did that, and then put that up against the pass-through hole, and then the other side, put this one on, and put it on so my rings are this way, so it'll align directly with the the pass-through. Slide that onto my bolt, put a washer and a nut on this side, and then put that up in there. And you can do this dry. I highly suggest not. Get some grease or some assembly lube or something and lube up the inner ring there, because then these guys will just slide right in. So what ended up happening is this 5-inch bolt, which is what I needed because of the thread length and the size of these plates and everything, I got it in, and then my bushings stopped about 3/4 of the way in, so like here. What ended up happening is the center pass-through hole had bottomed out against the plates, so what I needed to do was I went and got a 6-inch bolt, set it up the same, and then I used this big ring from the kit and put that against the back there, and then put this guy on there, and went right in. Worked perfectly. I know a lot of you who might be thinking about doing this aren't going to have professional backing plates. As far as I could find in the tools I had access to at AutoZone, they did not have a tool specifically for this, but this is also a rent-a-tool and free. You can get grade 8 bolts at AutoZone. I got the 5-incher from AutoZone, but to get a 6, I had to go to a specialty hardware store. Make sure it's all grade 8 hardware. I got extra thick washers as well, because these guys will start to mushroom from the force you're putting on them. If you think you need to beat on this with a hammer, don't. It won't do anything. It doesn't work. So I got them in, and then I put it all back together. I thought I would need to take down the anti-roll bar. In the end, I did not need to, so that was kind of a hassle. So don't take that down. It's a waste of time. That's pretty much it. You know, get those bushings in, get them replaced. I'm upset that this one didn't go in straight, but after I'd gotten it 3/4 of the way in and realized that, there's essentially no way to get these out without cutting them and replacing them. And I was not in the mood to do that. So that's pretty much it. I suggest this Caliper compressor tool. I see a lot of other people are like, use this backing plate, use this backing plate. Every single one of them I saw doing this, their backing plates are flat. And honestly, this little divot makes all the difference. And the fact that these rings are almost exactly the perfect size you need for that bushing hole. Like this one and this one line up perfectly with the size of it, and this is just big enough to go around the bushing hole to cinch it down. Don't try and use this to do it. This is not big enough depth-wise to squeeze it in. You can use a ratchet and tighten that nut on that bolt. The 1/2-inchers are a 19mm head nut, or I think that's 3/4. But I ended up just using an impact wrench, and even my little impact wrench over there that does, I don't know, 150 foot-pounds was more than enough to suck them in. Like I said, if it gets stuck, if it's not moving, don't automatically assume it's stuck in place. That was my issue. Is what ended up happening is the inner pass-through ring had been squeezed between the two plates, and obviously it wasn't going to go anywhere. It took me 2 days to figure this out before I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. And yeah, this tool made all the difference. And just, you know, had I actually done this thoughtfully and logically, I would have only needed to use 2 bolts. I ended up spending $50 on different sizes of bolts and threads. If you can get a bolt that is longer and fully threaded that would be better. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy this 5-inch grade 8 bolt and a 6-inch grade 8, or you can go metric 10.9 grade. And that's pretty much it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about this. I promise that if you follow this walkthrough I just did, it will work. They will go in. If you're wondering what kind of grease you should use, I used synthetic Valvoline grease, well, synthetic blend, and some assembly lube. That was key for me, and they just slid right in there, and they're nice and stiff, and it's not going anywhere. Alright, thanks for watching. Look for the next video.